Welcome into the 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Chase Sr. On today's show, we're breaking down 40 free agent targets who San Francisco can sign when free agency gets underway in about a month. But first, today's show presented to you by Fetch Rewards. This app, absolutely phenomenal. Why is that? You scan your receipts, and every receipt that you do scan, you get points back. And over time, those bonus points accumulate like Deebo Samuel's stats, wide receiving and as a running back. And over time, you're able to turn those receipts into gift cards. Chatsports.com/fetch, enter the promo code 49ers, and by plugging in that link as well as that promo code, you get 3,000 bonus points to start off with, so you'll be on your way to getting free gift cards from places like Amazon, Target, Starbucks, and a whole host of other stores. Some key offseason dates. March 1st to the 7th is the NFL Scouting Combine. The league year and free agency gets underway on March 16th. Our free agency coverage is going to be kick-ass. And then one of the best events on the sporting calendar, the NFL Draft in Las Vegas, coming your way from April 28th to the 30th. Which future players are going to be franchise-changing players for San Francisco? We'll find out at the end of April. But on today's show, really the big focusing in on some of these free agency targets. And we start off with the quarterback position. We're going to operate under the premise that Trey Lance is a starting quarterback for the 49ers here in 2022. And there are going to be some really good backup quarterbacks who are set to hit the open market. Jameis Winston, Teddy Bridgewater, Tyrod Taylor, Marcus Mariota, and Jacoby Brissett. I'd honestly be fine with any of these guys coming in as Trey Lance's backup. Of course, all of them have a different blend of skills. If you look at a player like Marcus Mariota or Tyrod Taylor, they give you more of an athletic element and a running threat at that quarterback position, so you don't really have to tinker with the scheme all that much. Jameis Winston, Teddy B, a lot of experience, and the same can be said for Jacoby Brissett, who is a very serviceable backup quarterback. Now, if Lance starts, it's going to be interesting to see where San Francisco goes for some of the reasons that I talked about. Do they go after a veteran? Do they draft a player at the end of April in the NFL Draft in Las Vegas and try to find somebody in, let's say, the 5th, 6th, or 7th round? Do they go with an athletic threat? Do they go with a more pocket passer? Do they bring back Nate Sudfeld? A bunch of options on the table for San Francisco. Going to be fascinating to see which direction they go in. So if you were to pick up a backup quarterback for Trey area, I just listed 5 of those guys. Cam Newton, also another option, as he's going to be a free agent. Which backup would you choose to back up Trey Lance? Drop me a name in the comments section right now. We shift to the running back position, and to be quite honest with you, I don't think San Francisco has a lot of needs at that running back spot. I want to see more from Elijah Mitchell. He was awesome as a rookie, 5th in the NFL in average yards per game. I want to see more from Trey Sermon, who is a 3rd-round pick out of Ohio State. But if you want some insurance at that position, you could look the way of Leonard Fournette, Melvin Gordon. Chase Edmonds gives you a nice little pass-catching threat out of the backfield. Cordarrelle Patterson in Kyle Shanahan's offense would be straight up awesome. He had a great year with the Atlanta Falcons, does a lot of the same things that Deebo Samuel can do, and would be a kick-ass returner as well. And James Conner led the NFL among all non-quarterbacks in touchdowns this past year, one of the best bargain deals for the Arizona Cardinals this past year. From the backfield to the perimeter, the wide receiver position. A lot of rumors out there that Davante Adams of the Green Bay Packers could sign for $35 million per year. That would certainly break a lot of free agency records. I wouldn't pay him that much money because I think Deebo Samuel, one of the best offensive players in the entire NFL outside of the quarterback spot, and he deserves the bag. Chris Godwin coming off that torn ACL. Going to be interesting to see how much money he gets. Mike Williams, Odell Beckham Jr., Michael Gallup. Gallup coming off a torn ACL. Odell Beckham coming off a torn ACL. Mike Williams, let's focus in on him for a quick second. Big-bodied wide receiver who has a different skill set as compared to Brandon Ayuk, who's asking for more deep balls, and Deebo Samuel, who is now your wide back. You bring in Mike Williams, I think you can get him $15 to $20 million per year if you're able to clear some cap, and he is a great red zone threat. In addition to Deebo, in addition to Ayuk, George Kittle, Mike Williams would be really good in this offense as a guy who can high point the football. Now, as we shift to the defensive side of the football, I want to ask you this question. Name an offensive player you want the Niners to sign. It can be along the offensive line. It can be at the wide receiver spot, quarterback, whatever. You let me know. And it can be players that I talked about, players who I have not talked about yet. Just give me some names in the comment section right now. And make sure you subscribe to the San Francisco 49ers Report by Chat Sports, because if you ain't subscribed, homie, you ain't alive. Our 49ers free agency coverage is going to be in fuego, and we're trying to get to 60,000 subs as soon as possible. We're approaching 56K. Hit that red subscribe button down below, or in a separate browser, go to youtube.com/49erstv. Before we officially look at some of these defenders, offensive line, another big area of need, especially considering what we saw in the past 2 Super Bowls. Teron Armstead, I don't think the 49ers are going to sign him. He's going to demand a lot of money on the open market, and he's getting a little bit older. Ryan Jensen, very good center for the Bucs. Let's say that Alex Mack retires. Do you bring in Jensen? I'd like the fit. Orlando Brown, offensive tackle, had somewhat of a down year, but the potential and the upside is still certainly there for still a young player. Brandon Scherf at the guard spot, maybe, but how about Laken Tomlinson? It is so vital for the 49ers to bring back Laken Tomlinson. He has never missed a game since getting traded to San Francisco from the Detroit Lions. The left side of that offensive line, one of the best across the league, with Trent Williams as well as Tomlinson. He's been able to master and have a great understanding and grasp of Kyle Shanahan's scheme. It's just going to be interesting to see how much money he gets on the open market. There are teams out there like the Miami Dolphins that might honestly give Laken Tomlinson $50 million per year. Guess who's the head coach of the Miami Dolphins? Former 49ers offensive coordinator in Mike McDaniel. Could he look to poach Tomlinson like he's poached a Wes Welker from the coaching staff? Something to keep an eye on. Also, the Super Bowl formula. Bad offensive lines have lost the last 2 years, and in fact, they've been dominated. Joe Burrow, last 22 passing attempts in Super Bowl 56 against the Rams, 7 sacks. 2 years ago, Patrick Mahomes was just under siege by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Bad O-lines lose. That's why I say it's important to bring back Laken Tomlinson. You know, it's really important for you to download the Fetch Rewards app. And right now, free download available if you plug in that link down below, chatsports.com/fetch. And if you enter the promo code 49ers, you get 3,000 bonus points. All you have to do with Fetch, scan your receipts, no matter where you make a purchase, large retail store or at a local mom and pop shop. And every time you scan your receipt, you get that confetti popping and you get points back for your receipts. And over time, those bonus points are able to rack up and accumulate. That then leads to you getting free gift cards. Be like my guy, Moises Martinez, and download the Fetch Rewards app. Moises is a die-hard fan of the San Francisco 49ers Report by Chat Sports, and he told me, I downloaded the Fetch Rewards app. I go into chatsports.com/fetch, and I entered the promo code 49ers, and I said, yo, take a picture of you using Fetch Rewards, and I'll get you featured on the next 49ers Report. So be like Moises Martinez and use Fetch Rewards today. Right now, he's approaching almost 4,000 bonus points on the Fetch Rewards app. I'll be sure to put that link in the comment section as well as a description of this video. This app, like Deebo Samuel and Nick Bosa, a straight-up game changer. To the defensive side of the football, a familiar name in DJ Jones. He is due and is deserving of a lot more money than what he was paid this past year when he was really a bargain player for this Niners defense. He made us forget about Javon Kinlaw. On the interior, especially against the run, he's really good. I want to see him come back to the Bay. Akeem Hicks, a little bit older, and I think DJ Jones gives you a lot. B.J. Hill, Calais Campbell, Quentin Jefferson, all of these guys skewing a little bit older, although B.J. Hill was really good for Cincinnati this past year. But as far as D.J. Jones goes, I'd like to see him come back because of that familiarity in DeMeco Ryans' scheme. Would you pay up for D.J. Jones? Let's say another team out there offers him $8 to $10 million. You paying that for DJ Jones? Type B for Bagman, TP for 2 Pricey. You let me know and be a part of the show like I am as the host in the comment section. Top free agent edge rushers. I think the 49ers somewhat good in this area, but this is a position of need and a position of importance in the pass-happy NFL, especially with how good the Rams' defensive front was and how good, frankly, the 49ers' defensive front was this year with generating a pass rush. Chandler Jones, Von Miller, Jadeveon Clowney, Randy Gregory, Hassan Reddick, all due to be free agents. Among these guys, who do I like the most? Probably Hassan Reddick. Now, I think he fits best as a 3-4 edge, and the 49ers run a 4-3. But if you just let him freestyle as an athlete, as an uber playmaker, I think he can be really good. His sack numbers the last 2 years were straight up excellent. Von Miller is going to demand a lot of money. Jadeveon Clowney as an edge and as a defensive tackle in kind of that role that Arden Key and Eric Armstead had interests me a lot. But Hassan Reddick piques my interest a lot, not just because he went to Temple University like yours truly. Now, with all of these positions, we've been looking at 5 players. Defensive backs, though, we're going to look at 10 because this is the biggest area of need for San Francisco going into the 2022 NFL offseason. And lucky for them, in the draft and in free agency, some good players who could be had. Jesse Bates, free safety with Cincinnati, wasn't good in the regular season, very good in the playoffs. J.C. Jackson, all-pro caliber guy, really good in terms of his instincts with picking off the football. Doesn't really gamble like a guy like Asante Samuel did back in the day, and I like that because he doesn't get burnt. He just has really good ball skills. Probably going to get around $20 million per year. Steep price for the Niners. Tyrann Mathieu, injury issues over time, but he can literally play almost any position on the defensive side of the football outside of defensive tackle. I mean, he honestly has been used as an edge rusher coming off the perimeter. Marcus Williams, a very good safety. Carlton Davis, really good cornerback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I might rather have him compared to J.C. Jackson because I'm not going to have to pay him $20 million per year. You might be able to bring him in for around $13 to $14 million, maybe $15 million. We've talked a lot about Stephon Gilmore here on the 49ers Report. 31 years old, Pro Bowl this past year. Even though he held out much of the year until he was traded to the Carolina Panthers, I still think he can play. I just don't think he can play as well as he did when he was the 2019 NFL Defensive Player of the Year. Darius Williams. Rams have a lot of big decisions to make. Can they afford to bring back Darius Williams, considering they might have to pay big money to Aaron Donald and some of the other players on that team? Quandre Diggs, of course, a player who the 49ers have a lot of familiarity with. I'd probably pass on him. I'd pass on Casey Hayward. Marcus May, coming off a torn Achilles. Of course, that's probably the worst injury that you can suffer nowadays as a professional athlete. But the big question, do you get him at a discounted price, and can he come back in a short time frame like a Cam Akers? So those are some of the defensive backs who the 49ers could have at their disposal in NFL free agency. So I want to ask you this, faithful Niner Empire. Chirp, chirp, chirp in the comment section. Which DB do you like the most among those 10 guys? You let me know, and thank you so much for watching today's show.